Hey guys, it's Lance at Mac Sound Solutions, and have you been wanting to get into the AI race and get your own Mac Mini to be able to install OpenClaw? I mean, we have this guy over here to blame, Alex Finn, for, promoting the hell out of installing OpenClaw on the Mac Mini.
I've seen the future, and it is right here on this Mac Mini. Over the last 48 hours, I've been playing with an AI tool that has completely changed my life. You'll have a full-time 24/7 AI employee working for you. Let's get into it.
People went crazy and they just bought up all the Mac Minis, and now Apple's backordered. I mean, it also has to do with the RAM supply and all the chips being bought up by the big AI companies. Or maybe Apple's just hoarding their own chips so they can release the M5 Mac Mini and the M5 Mac Studio on schedule, possibly in June at WWDC. But release dates could get pushed way back, so we don't really know yet. But if you want to get in on using OpenClaw and you can't get a Mac Mini, this is a great alternative. This is Beelink's OpenClaw offering. They have a slew of different models dedicated to OpenClaw, so you can go buy it pre-configured with Ubuntu, Linux, and/or Windows, and it comes with OpenClaw pre-installed. And that's a bit of a marketing ploy, but I do really like the lobster claw paint job they have on these PCs. They look really nice. So we're going to go over the different specs compared to the Mac Mini, the power usage, the CPU, OpenClaw running on them, installing local LLMs, and compare those speed-wise to the base model Mac Mini and the price. And if you're a gamer, the world's your lobster. You can go in and play almost any game on Steam on this computer. And of course, if you're a Mac person and you must have macOS, you're going to stick with that. But if you want this just to have running in the background as your AI assistant, and you want to dabble in Linux, which I have found really fun and sort of an eye-opener, being primarily a Mac user my entire life, it's cool having a computer that's completely customizable without the chains attached from Apple or Microsoft. So OpenClaw runs 24/7, and you need a computer that's going to run 24/7. So obviously you want a really low wattage computer, and that's why people were buying up the Mac Minis like crazy. So Beelink sent me the SER9 Pro. It comes with a terabyte of storage and 24 gigs of RAM, and you have a second NVMe slot so you can add more storage. So it is pretty competitively priced. And Apple eliminated the 256 gig model, and now the base model is a 512 gigabyte with 16 gigs of RAM for $799. And these computers, while they can run local AI, they're only going to run small models. They can't run the big ones because it uses up a huge amount of memory. That's why people are buying up Mac Studios with like 128 gigs of RAM. These are good for just running your local AI agents like OpenClaw and Hermes, and smaller LLM models. And for the folks that are looking for an alternative to the Mac Studio and run the larger models, they also sell this one that has 128 gigs of RAM. So back to my model, the SER9 Pro, its I/O is a little more diverse than the Mac Mini, and you get 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. I'm not going to go through all of the inputs and outputs here, but you can check that out on the website or in the photo. And while the RAM is soldered to the logic board, you can't upgrade it. You can install a second NVMe, and it took me about 5 minutes. You have 4 screws on the bottom. You got to remove these little rubbery tabs with some tweezers or whatever you can get in there to get them out of there. Then you just got 4 screws to take out, regular old Phillips screws, easy. I did everything with 1 screwdriver. Thank you, Beelink. Then there's 2 more screws on the inside to remove the dust screen, and you don't need to disconnect it. You just gently fold it up, and just 2 more screws to remove the heatsink. And you can just fold that over gently and install your second NVMe, which I put in the Oracle 07000. And just a quick speed test on the 2 NVMe's. The one on the left is the internal storage, the 1 terabyte, and the 2 terabyte that I installed is getting much better speeds, but that is to be expected when you have double the capacity. And here's the base model Mac Mini, and on the left is the original 256 gig drive speeds, and on the right I updated it to a 2 terabyte, so you can see getting way better speeds. So the Beelink 1TB SSD is faster than the Mac Mini base model upgraded 2TB. And here's the Mac Mini M4 Pro with the original SSD and then the upgraded SSD. So the M4 Pro takes the win with the upgraded 4TB, but it is twice the capacity, so that's to be expected. And of course, it's a more powerful computer and costs twice as much. Okay, so I'm going to try to best articulate my hybrid AI workstation running on the Beelink. So first up, we have OpenClaw is already installed, and I call that bot Bumble. So that bot is Bumble. I like to think of them as busy little bees. And then I installed Hermes Agent, and she is my head bot AI orchestrator. Everything goes through her, and her name is Hermes. So think of her as the queen bee. So we got Hermes and Bumble, both of which are installed on the Beelink. And also connected via my network is my base model Mac Mini, which has the original install of OpenClaw that I did way back in January. I called him Pete after Peter, the developer of ClaudeBot. So moving forward, all these bots are great, but they need a brain. And my brain is ChatGPT. That is my cloud account. And then I have a secondary brain, which is Qwen 7B, which is a small local LLM installed on the Beelink. So when I'm doing smaller jobs, I don't need to use my ChatGPT account. I can do them locally, or if I want to do something 100% private that I don't want to feed to the big AI machine, I can do it locally on the Beelink. So to communicate with your bot or your bots, you use Telegram or any messaging app, WhatsApp, iMessage, but I like to keep it completely separate from my personal contacts. So I use Telegram, and it's strictly for communicating with my bots, and I have Telegram installed on all of my devices. So it's on my iPhone, it's on my iPad, it's on all of my computers. So if I'm out on a job and I just got paid, I can say, hey Hermes, I just got paid $600. Let's add that to the spreadsheet. This is the client name, this is the date, this is the hours I worked. And Hermes will open up the spreadsheet, put in the information, hit save, and close it. And those are the things that these bots can do that normal connection with ChatGPT can't do, right? They can't actually do stuff for you on your computer. So you're basically authorizing the bot to have permission to make changes. Before, you would have to have a person go into the computer, open up a document, type in the information, and then save it and close it. But now you don't need someone to do that. Your bot can do it for you. It really is like having your own personal assistant. So power users will use an API key to connect their bot to a big cloud service like OpenAI or Claude or Grok, one of those guys, right? But I wanted to restrict my usage to my $20 a month ChatGPT account, so I selected OpenAI Codex OAuth. I am not using an API key. So what that does is it gives my bot access to my ChatGPT account, but it's not running up a bigger bill than my $20 a month. If anything, I can hit a brick wall and I'm not allowed to use it until time is up, and then it lets me use it again. I've never hit that because I'm not using it that much. But you have to be aware, if you sign up your bot to an API key, you're sort of pay to play. And if you're a power user, you're a programmer, you know all this already. But if you're someone like me who's just experimenting with this stuff, I would suggest going with OpenAI Codex OAuth, and it'll be using ChatGPT Codex to do the responses for your bot. Your bot will be communicating with Codex, so that kind of keeps my bot in check so I'm not running up a huge bill, and I'm not doing coding, right? I'm just tinkering with this stuff right now. And you can just install a free local LLM and connect your bot to that and not have it go out onto the web to do things and get information. And you can just install OpenClaw or Hermes Agent on a cloud server and not run it locally on a computer. But I prefer to keep it local. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm running sort of a hybrid system with my bots, meaning I'm having them go online to ChatGPT and I'm having them access a local LLM. And to do that, I use LM Studio, which is a free app. I'll leave the link in the video description. You just download it, put it in your applications folder, open it up, and then you can download an LLM for your computer, and it will analyze your computer's specs and say, okay, these are about the right sized models to run on your computer. So I'm using Qwen 2.57 billion parameter. Think of it as a mini ChatGPT that runs locally on your Mac. So whatever info you send to it, and you can talk directly with it, you don't have to use your bot all the time, it will give you information and it will not share that anywhere on the internet. And while it's not as fast and as smart as the big bots, there's still good use cases to use it, and it won't be using your subscription while you're using the local bot, so you won't be always going off to the internet to get your information or to have a document written, things of that nature. So I did a little benchmark with the Qwen model running on all three computers, and the Mac Mini M4 Pro was the fastest, generating 44 tokens per second. That means how quickly it can generate the answer. And the M4 base model came in second, and the Beelink came in third, a little under the M4 base model. But the Beelink does not have dedicated neural engines like the Macs do. And during the processing of the prompt, they jumped up in their watt usage. So the Mac Mini hit maybe 40 at its peak, averaging around 37, and the Beelink was averaging 20 watts more draw, and it was slower. So the Mac Minis and the Beelink draw very little power when they're idle, but when you use Qwen, it's going to dial up that wattage, and then when you're gaming on them, the Mac Mini M4 Pro shoots up to 80 watts. When I was running Resident Evil 2 on all three of these computers, the Mac Mini stayed at 44, but it also got about half the frame rates. And then the Beelink jumped up to 77 watts, pretty much the same as the Mac Mini M4 Pro as far as power usage during gaming. So here's an example. I asked Hermes to create a local command center where it would give me the layout of how our bots are working together, what their tasks are, what upcoming projects we're working on, adding notes, and she immediately created this web page for me. In about 10 seconds, it was done, and we can update this as we go. So I'll be able to add things to this page, have it as a bookmark, just open it up, go in there, and it's sort of the command center for all of my bots. So here's the desktop on the Beelink. That's my own wallpaper that I put on there, but basically, you know, there are your applications. It's really easy to get around on Ubuntu. I installed Steam, I downloaded some games, I then moved them to the secondary SSD so they're not eating up my system SSD. I installed OBS, I plugged in a camera, I was able to use that. I got Firefox on there, and there's my home folder, my user account, just like you have on your Mac or your PC. It's really easy to get around, easy to find stuff, and you're not tethered to iCloud and you're not tethered to Microsoft. So there is no corporate god that you are tethered to when you're using Linux. And I really like that about it. It's sort of freeing after all these years, you know. And of course, I'm still going to be using my Mac, and I'm still going to probably use Windows for gaming on my Mac Pro. But for smaller games, I can run them on this computer using a lot less power than having my Mac Pro with dual GPUs in it. And I can beam them via Steam Link to my iPad or to my Apple TV and play games that I can't play on my Mac. So it's a good secondary little gaming PC, especially for older games. And with Resident Evil Requiem, I was getting like 60 frames per second. That game is pretty well optimized. I'm doing a screen capture also, so it doesn't look that smooth, but the game does play really smooth. And then I can beam it to my iPad or to my TV and play it from there and not be sucking like 600 watts from the grid. Another thing that's nice is you can use a touch monitor like this UPERFECT little monitor, which I love this little monitor because it's very portable. It's got a touch screen. It works well with Windows and Ubuntu. It does not work well with macOS, modern macOS, something about the controller. It works with Mojave, but it doesn't work with Tahoe. Don't know why. You do need to have a USB-C connection to the computer to get the touch to work. Sometimes you can just use one cable, and I just find I get a better connection if I'm connected via HDMI, and then I use the USB-C cable just for the touch data. So I'm just clicking around on YouTube, but you get the idea, and you get basic touch. But there is a third-party app out there, I believe, for Linux that will give you more touchscreen functionality. But it's nice just having a touchscreen connected if your keyboard's not around, you know, etc. So I thought the dual speaker setup was going to sound better than the Mac Mini's single speaker, but it does not. It's not even close.
Hey guys, it's Lance at Mac Sound Solutions, and today we're doing another NVMe enclosure review. But wait! Hey guys, it's Lance at Mac Sound Solutions, and today we're doing another NVMe enclosure review. But wait! Don't click.
The Mac Mini speaker definitely sounds better than the Beelink. All right, so now we're testing the Beelink microphone. The computer is over here. I'm looking at my webcam, which also has a mic, but I'm not using it. I am using the Beelink mic. Now we'll switch to the webcam mic. Okay, so now I'm using my OBSBOT webcam mic. How does that sound compared to the Beelink mic? As we know, the Mac Mini doesn't have a built-in microphone, so you need a webcam like the OBSBOT, for instance. Link in the description. So to sum it up, I really like this little computer. Does it outperform the Mac Mini? Is it better than the Mac Mini? It's not really a comparison. They're two very different things, and I'm really enjoying tinkering around with Linux, and I'm going to use this to be my little AI bot computer. That's going to be its main use case. All right, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, give me that thumbs up, and I will see you in the next Mac Sound Solutions video.